He's on the Cairns Regional Council. His sights set, one day maybe, on higher office. He's also young, a family man, a local, with views on most of the issues facing far north Queensland, the rest of the state and the nation. Brett Olds needs no introduction. This week with Brett Olds on Cairns FM 89.1.
Welcome back to this week's edition of This Week with Brett Olds. My next guest on the show, or my guest this week I should say, is Shane Cuthbert. Now he's a life coach. He's an author. He's published over 20 books, apparently. He's a mature age law and psychology student, wears a few hats at CQU. He's the ambassador, a student mentor, president of the Law Society, treasurer of the Social Innovation Network. He volunteers with a lot of organisations all over the place. If you go to his Facebook page and have a look, it's a bunch. And I don't know when he gets time to sleep. And he's also involved with a few businesses across Cairns. But Shane, welcome to the show.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, Brett. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming in. Today, just so you know, listeners, a couple of weeks ago, Cairns Regional Council, we voted and went through with Rob Pyne against, but everyone else in favour of telling the state government we don't want them to decriminalise some antisocial behaviours. So basically, we advised the Cairns Regional Council, which I'm on, as you know, we advised the Community Support and Services Committee parliamentary inquiry into decriminalisations of certain public offences and health and welfare responses. So it's a mouthful. We advised them that we do not support any relaxation of the Summary Offences Act 2005. And in a nutshell, the way I get it, Shane, is the main two issues being the public intoxication and begging, and the repealing of the potential repealing of the urinating in a public place offence, which includes defecating. So the state government, looking, every other state in Australia at the moment has decriminalised these things. Queensland hasn't, and they're looking at doing it. Council, we said, hey, look, we don't want you to do this, and we've given reasons which we'll get into today. And then after that meeting, Shane was at the meeting, and he's very passionate about this subject, and he actually thinks we should decriminalise it. So I've invited him on the show because I want both sides of it. So that's just to give you a rundown. Is that a pretty fair rundown?
Mate, that's it. And you did well introducing that inquiry, because it is a bit of a mouthful.
I practiced it this morning. I was like, holy dooly. Luckily, I don't have a lisp, luckily, but I could have, spat everywhere. But so basically, so the nuts and bolts in Cairns, I've talked about crime for a while, but most of that's been about youth crime and about car theft. But I have been talking about this public urination and defecating of people like in rough sleepers. But this the decriminalisation of it, my personal opinion and that of council, I guess, is we're like, we don't think you should relax these laws and water them down. Because we can't see a good reason for it, unless the state government was going to come in with something else behind it. But so far, in what they've shown us, it just looks like they just want to water it down and say, no, look, it's just too hard basket. Let them get away with it. But the community, when you talk to people, they're like, hell no. So can you explain why on the other side of it? And yourself and Rob Pyne went to a committee hearing yesterday here in Cairns.
We did, yeah.
Yeah. Could you give us a rundown on basically what you're seeing, why you disagree, and what you think it should be, and then how yesterday went?
Yeah, no, for sure. Look, and I think firstly, the most important thing is I just want to say that I don't like it either.
Yeah.
I've got a friend of mine actually owns Cover Girls, the club in I think it's on Grafton Street. And I was actually there one night, and there was a guy, an Indigenous guy, who was actually defecating out the front of his place. So it was a Friday, Saturday night. He's got patrons lined up ready to go into the place. And it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Mate, the other thing is, I live in town. I do a lot of stuff in the court, so I'm walking from home through the CBD to get to work, to get to the courthouse. And, mate, the smell, particularly of the urination in the early mornings, 9 a.m., that's disgusting as well. So I just firstly wanted to say, I'm not...
So we're on the same page.
Mate, I'm on the same page with it. Really, my main point I think that I was trying to make was that these people that are being charged with these offences, there's no follow-through. So they're getting a fine, they're not paying it. Yep. If they're being taken to custody, they're not showing up to court. So I'm saying that, look, the resources we're using on it right now is just a waste, could be better spent somewhere else. There's a little bit of the discriminatory element. I know Rob Pyne's really passionate about that, and we spoke about that yesterday. But, and I think, there's that little aspect of it. There is unfortunately a lot of Indigenous people that are charged with these offences, but
Rod's been talking about the overrepresentation of those groups.
And there is the overrepresentation, but there's also, a lot of these guys are committing these offences, unfortunately, and it's the same as, it's not just Indigenous, it's homeless, people with mental health issues. The guy again that I saw actually defecating, I'm pretty sure he had some mental health issues. Yeah. I'm not an expert, but so it's a difficult thing. So I just think those resources should be better spent getting these people off the streets, getting them to, if they're intoxicated, to diversionary. If they're, homeless, obviously getting beds. We've got the Lion Street homeless shelter, which I've actually spent time at. I've actually slept on the Esplanade probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I first come to Cairns. I was having a rough time.
Oh, you were homeless?
Mate, yeah, I was, yeah. So I've basically, in Cairns, from the ground up, got to where I am today. But so I see both sides. But again, I'm a business owner. I wouldn't like that out the front of my business. But I think what's currently in place is not working.
Yeah, no, I think we agree with that. What's currently in place isn't working, and that's good to find common ground. One of our big things is if you water it down, it sends a message to the community. And the community right now is fed up with all sorts of crime, and then anyone that goes in the CBD, even during the daytime, they get abused and everything else. But at night time, I don't know if it's not that safe an environment, really, especially for young girls to be walking around on their own. And I'm not being sexist. I just think people that are going to pick out groups, they won't pick a bunch of big blokes to kind of go out. They'll pick young ladies or whatever else. So I think the message we send to the community, and this is where, as a councillor and council, we always there's almost like a mandate from the community that, hey, we want you to go harder and be more proactive, not just local government, not just councils, because we play in the space. Absolutely, we own a lot of the public space. Well, the residents own it, the ratepayers own it, but we represent that. So legally, we have we have to play in that space. We have obligations is where I'm looking at. Look at me, I got the mouthful out earlier and I just missed that one. But no, we have legal obligations, but we can't legally do a lot of stuff. We can't even tap on someone's shoulder and ask them to we've got tip out laws, I think, if someone's publicly drinking or whatever else. But when it comes to if you're a business owner, if someone owns a business in town and someone comes up, a rough sleeper or whatever else, and they start urinating or defecating or causing a scene, what they're worried about is right now they can call the police and the police can come out there and take action and take them to a social service centre or something, or these diversionary places. Whereas if this decriminalisation bill goes through and they decriminalise it, what's that shop owner, what's their recourse? They can call council, and realistically council can't do anything.
Yeah, look, and I got to hear from Mayor Bob Manning yesterday and Councillor Brett Moller. So they represented council at the hearing yesterday, which there was, I think it was 5 members of Parliament from different places around Queensland. Cynthia Liu, unfortunately, who actually has a lot of experience. Obviously, she's a Cook member for Cook. Yep. She works with a lot of Indigenous, obviously. She's up at the Torres Strait at the moment, so she was unable to attend. So I heard from Brett Moller, and he was really passionate about his community. And as a member of the council, he said, look, we've got a community behind us that, we're getting increasing youth crime and stuff like that. And we just got residents that are, again, concerned. What message is this going to send? And also to the tourists, he brought that up, and that's a great point, because Cairns relies on tourism, especially that CBD. Mm. So if you've got, people defecating, urinating in public, and you've just got off the P&O cruise ship, or, you've flown in and you're having a nice
thousands
holiday.
And thousands of dollars to come here, tens of thousands of dollars.
What is going on? And then when, you talk to someone or talk to some of the locals and they say, oh, look, yeah, there's nothing we can do about it. It's not criminal here. There'd be a lot of head scratching, I think, a lot of frustration, and they go back, they tell their friends, they go, you don't want to go to Cairns. Yeah,
it's not the message you want to send out worldwide.
No. So it's a difficult one, but that's where I come back to, if it is decriminalised, and I think the committee got the message, there needs to be other supports in place. There needs to be other people that are out on the streets that are picking these guys up, taking them to diversionary. If they need a bed for the night, taking them to a homeless shelter, that sort of thing. It can't just be, let's just give up on this and let everyone do what they want.